I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting for the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado for December 13th, 2021. If you would please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll of the members?
Judy Hutchinson.
Present.
Scott Ohm.
Here.
Rachel Holteen.
Present.
Janice Hoppy.
Present.
Amanda Weaver.
Here.
Corey Stites.
Present.
Leah Dozman.
Here.
Valerie Nosler Beck is yet to come in. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Councilors, in your packet, you have the City Council meeting minutes of October 25th, 2021. They've been revised. Councilor Hoppy had some more notes that she wanted to make with regard to these minutes. Councilor Hoppy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to point out on page 6 that it should state that the mayor reviewed the procedures of the hearing, and that due to the number of citizens that were signed up to give testimony was limited to 3 minutes each. I'd also like to note on page 14, the mayor indicated that we were coming upon 11 o'clock, and according to council rules, to continue beyond 11, a motion must be made. It correctly says that I made the motion. It has omitted that Mr. Urban was the second on the motion. And on page 21, it says Rachel Holteen was the mayor pro tem. I was the presiding mayor pro tem over that meeting.
Are there any other corrections to the minutes? And if it's approved by council, we'll have the clerk make those modifications, and the minutes will stand as modified.
Yes.
Okay, so ordered. Thank you. Without exception, we will proceed with the agenda as posted. So ordered. We're very pleased to have several proclamations and ceremonies tonight, so I'm going to go to the podium and we'll go from there. Oh, and for the record, Councilor Nosler Beck has come, so we have all of council members present tonight. So thank you very much for being here. I'm really excited to make a proclamation in recognition of the new graduates of Wheat Ridge 101. The mayor and the city council of the city of Wheat Ridge would like to formally recognize and appreciate the participants in the 2021 Wheat Ridge 101 program who all dedicated an immense portion of time to learning about the city of Wheat Ridge and how it works. The development of this program was part of the City Council's Strategic Plan, Strategy 7.3.1, Create a City 101 course for residents. This newly created 7-week program was developed with Local Works and is designed to share detailed information about how the City of Wheat Ridge works and discuss strategies for effective public discourse and community engagement. I want to invite Kate Cook up here to help me with logistics on making this all happen. So Kate, if you would come on up. We've got some certificates that we're going to want to give to the recipients. I'm going to give those to you. And I'd like to call out the members of this graduating class. And if you would come forward when I call your name, and let's stay up here and we'll do a photo op after that. So Matt Abel, Kevin Bowe, Bob Brazel, Aaron Caldwell, Kelsey Cates, Clarence Fullard, Cheryl Garcia, Dan Larson, Jeremy Laufer, John Rout, Juanita Stites, Vivian Voss, Judy Vessa, Jean Vrattle, Chelsea Vialba, Shannon Wilson. The mayor and city council would like to again thank these participants for their interest in the city, and we hope you individuals will stay engaged with the Wheat Ridge community, and congratulations on your graduation from the Wheat Ridge 101 program. It's terrific, so thank you all very much. All right, so I'm getting the word that you ought to sort of be in front of the podium. Is that right? So get up here or around here, maybe in front of the council. So councilors always like to get in the photos too, so we'll. Tonight we have a very special ceremony to celebrate the success of a public-private partnership, also known as PPP, if you hear that acronym, between Evergreen Development Company and the City of Wheat Ridge for the Clear Creek Crossing project. And I'd like to invite Tyler Carlson, the Managing Principal and Executive Vice President for Evergreen, to come to the podium and say a few words and give us an update on this exciting project. So, Tyler, great to have you here. It's great to see a real milestone in the project. So tell us what else is going on.
Absolutely. Officially, Mayor and Council, I'm coming before you tonight as the president of the Longs Peak Metropolitan District. So 3.5 years ago, we entered into a public-private partnership that was the most complicated PPP that my company's ever done. As you know, it involved a piece of property that was a developer graveyard for many, many years. It involved a piece of highway infrastructure that had been needed for decades in West Wheat Ridge. And ultimately, it involved a lot of faith between initially the citizens and the elected officials to pass the ballot initiative 2E to fund a $40 million infrastructure package. It involved a lot of faith between your staff and yourselves and my company and our Metropolitan District to actually build a freeway interchange that none of us, for the record, had ever done before. And since then, we hit a lot of challenges. There's a small thing called COVID that happened. There's been some minor construction inflation. There was this entity called Denver Water that we all came to know and love. And along that way, what's been the most striking to me is that the City of Wheat Ridge and your staff in particular honored not only the letter of the law of our agreements, but the spirit of the law. And there came a point at which Patrick and I had to sit down and say, hey, listen, this package of infrastructure is going to be more expensive than any of us contemplated. And what do we do? And, rather than call Jerry and lawyer up, we rolled up our sleeves to figure out how are we going to get this thing done. And I'm proud to say that 2 weeks ago, the Long Peak Metropolitan District had a successful $55 million bond issuance. And with that, allows me to present to Mayor Stark tonight a not complete but partial reimbursement check. We're dotting the I's and crossing the T's in the last little bit for $9.8 million back to the city of Wheat Ridge that it advanced to construct the freeway. Please don't cash this. You actually already have the money. Here's the wire transfer to prove that you actually have the money. For some reason, the bond trustees did not want me carrying around a $9.8 million check. What's the fun in that? Anyways, I'm just grateful for the partnership with the city, the political side, the staff side, and I can say, we've got 25 projects up and down the Front Range I've developed in probably 50 municipalities, and your staff is the best. Honestly, in terms of solving problems, figuring things out when the time gets tough, and just could not be more grateful to work professionally with a group like the City of Wheat Ridge. So thank you very much.
Tyler, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry my name's not on this, but we'll see that it gets to the right place. And I want to thank you for really bringing your force to bear on that piece of property. We've got a lot of projects going up there, and we've got a new hospital and some great housing and some economic development going there. So thank you very much for your part in this. We look forward to. We love the groundbreakings. We're also looking forward to the ribbon cutting. So
Amen.
Stay with it. All right. Thanks so much. Okay. Yeah. Here you can. All right.
All right.
Okay. Here we are.
Thank you, Christian.
All right. Take care, Tyler. Thanks a lot. I'd like to ask Chief Murtha to come to the podium with me and help us with this really a great thing to do. We're going to welcome some new police recruits into our force, and I want to say thank you to all the recruits. I want to thank you for recruiting the recruits, and we look forward to having them with us. And as I told each of them when we met earlier before the thing, always be safe. We want you to always be careful out there. It can be a dangerous world, and we appreciate the work that you do. So, Chief Murtha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm very proud, along with Commander Lucas Hunt, Commander John Pickett, and Division Chief Jim Lorenz, to present to you our newest officers. On Friday, Class 2102, did I have that right? Was sworn in as certified police officers for the state of Colorado. And I'm happy to say that we selected 6 people. It was an arduous process and a lot of rigorous in background inspection and other methods to find out who was who. Came up with these 6, and all 6 made it through the academy, which is an accomplishment in and of itself. We have a stellar group of people. They are certainly from different walks of life. I asked them tonight to maybe give us 30 seconds to a minute on who they are and why they're in Wheat Ridge. I think you'll hear some interesting little notes in their background. I'm sure they'll be a bit reserved tonight, so if you get a chance, maybe they'll tell you the whole story. But amongst this group, we have some very special individuals. So if you don't mind, I'll ask, I'd ask you first, Oscar, but I know you're nervous, so I'll go with Rachel Scrow. Nothing seems to faze her, so I'll ask her to stand up and maybe introduce herself and then just take a stand over here next to me, if you don't mind. Come on, stand up and talk to your counsel here. Yeah.
Even better. Good evening. My name's Rachel Scrow. I'm not actually originally from Colorado. I grew up in a military family, so I've lived all over the U.S. and a few different places in Europe. But having lived everywhere, I had family draw me to Colorado. And as a career change a little bit later in life, I decided it was finally time, and I finally had what I needed to make a suitable officer. And when I looked around, the small, tight-knit community of Wheat Ridge was exactly where I wanted to be. So I'm super excited that you guys accepted me, and I can't wait to serve all of you.
Amber?
Good evening. Thank you. Not as tall. Good evening. I'm Amber Bender. Like Officer Skrull, I also was not originally from Colorado. I moved here from the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. Once I got to Colorado, it took me a little bit to find my footing in Colorado, and then I stumbled upon the city of Wheat Ridge. I have been serving in the city of Wheat Ridge for 2 years prior to becoming a patrol officer. I absolutely love Wheat Ridge. I love the community. I've loved being a part of the community. The people that I've worked with on both city side and patrol side has always just made it feel like home. So I just knew that I wanted to do more for Wheat Ridge and be a bigger part of the community, and I think that I can do that in my role as a police officer for the city of Wheat Ridge.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Ben Nelson. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Austin, Minnesota. Before this, I served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps. I chose Wheat Ridge because it's very similar to my hometown. So I feel right at home working here. And I'm looking forward to interacting with the community very soon. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kylie Fisher. I've grown up in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, lived here my whole life. Before this, I was previously a teacher in the Wheat Ridge area, so I'm familiar with half of Wheat Ridge at least. And I chose Wheat Ridge because I have grown up with Wheat Ridge for the last 20 years, basically my whole life. My dad is a patrol officer as well, so I felt like he loves what he does, so that's what made me drawn towards Wheat Ridge, and I love everything that they've done with the community, and especially with their relationship-based policing that they're integrating. So I feel like I, being a teacher, can help bring forth a lot of the relationship side to it. And I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kiefer Longson. I am originally from California, and before this, I played football at BYU for 5 years. And now I'm just super excited to be here and serve and do what I can. And I'm super excited to meet all you and get to know you. And yeah, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Oscar Romero. I was originally born in Beverly, Massachusetts. I lived in Greeley for 10 years. And, I'm a first-generation Hispanic male in my family to ever do anything with their career. And I'm proud about, be able to establish myself in that base. I joined Wheat Ridge just because I want to bridge the community, more specifically with the Hispanic and Latino culture. And I hope to, make a deeper connection with the police and the community.
We're going to take a quick picture in front of council, but I did want to say that these are exceptional people in exceptional times, and they're willing to stand up for this community. And I think I'm so proud of them. When I saw them on the stage the other day, I nearly burst out in pride, feeling like a father all over again. So they're yours now, but they were mine on Friday. So we'll stand in front of the council for a picture.
All right, yep. Come on up. We'll head them up and move them out. We are now at a public's right to speak. Members of the public may come and speak on any matter not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes under public's right to speak. I have a sign-up sheet that I have no one signed up for, so I will ask Ms. Scheck, do we have anyone online who would like to speak under public's right to speak? And if you're online and would like to speak, raise your hand or speak up and we'll bring you into the meeting. And if you did not have an opportunity to sign up on the sign-up sheet but would like to speak, now is your opportunity. Come to the podium and we'll recognize you. So let's see if anybody is online. Okay, I don't have anyone in the City Hall or anyone online to speak, so we will conclude that part and we will go to item number 1. This is the consent agenda item. Councilor Ohm, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve item 1A, motion to approve monthly payments to Kaiser Permanente for January through December 2022 membership billing not to exceed a total of $2.8 million. And I move to approve item 1B, motion to adopt the 2022 City Council meeting calendar. And I move to approve item 1C, motion to cancel the December 2021 study session of the Wheat Ridge City Council. And I move to approve item 1D, resolution number 57-2021, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County Public Health for hosting youth community events.
Okay, this is our consent agenda item. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda item 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D? Mr. Ohm.
1A, 1B, 1C, 1D.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second by Mr. Stites. Would the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Okay, thank you so much. That will bring us to agenda item number 2. Councilor Stites, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council Bill number 21-2021, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at approximately 4051 Clear Creek Drive from Planned Commercial Development (PCD) to Planned Mixed-Use Development (PMUD), case number WZ-21-04. At issue, the applicant is requesting approval of a zone change from Planned Commercial Development (PCD) to Planned Mixed-Use Development (PMUD) with an outline development plan (ODP) for property located at approximately 4051 Clear Creek Drive. The request will add an additional planning area 9 to Clear Creek Crossing.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on second reading. It is a public hearing. It is quasi-judicial. I'm going to open the public hearing. And if you intend to testify on this matter, by the fact that you testify, you agree to tell the truth as you understand it. I'd like to go to Mr. Dahl for preliminary matter on this item.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I need to make just a very short record to enable Councilmember Ohm to participate in this case, and so for that purpose, I'd like to ask Councilmember Ohm a few questions, and then I can suggest a proper motion. Councilmember Ohm, is it true that you were on the Planning Commission when this particular application was reviewed?
That is correct.
And did you vote on that application as a Planning Commissioner when it was in front of the Commission?
That is correct.
Councilmember Ohm, despite this, do you believe that you can render a fair and impartial decision on this application based upon the record that's made before the council tonight?
I do.
Thank you. With that in mind, council members, based upon the answers to those questions, a proper motion would be to approve Councilmember Ohm's participation on Council Bill 21-2021 based upon his responses to the questions posed by the city attorney.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Councilor Hulteen for a motion.
Thank you. I move to allow City Council Member Scott Ohm to participate in Council Bill number 21-2021, based on his responses to the questions about his participation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Ms. Hoppy. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 6-0 with Ms. Dozeman voting no and Mr. Ohm abstaining.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Ohm, you'll be voting on this agenda item number 2, which has been introduced, and we have sworn everybody in. We read the ad issue statement, but I'd like to see if we have a staff presentation. Mr. Goff.
We do. Our senior planner, Scott Cutler, he is joining us this evening through Zoom.
Okay, Mr. Cutler, please proceed.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I'll get started. I'm going to share my presentation. Give me just a minute. The host of the meeting has disabled screen sharing.
Sorry, Scott, hold on one sec.
Okay.
I got it, Lauren. You got it. Thanks. Sorry, Scott, try it now. I'm out of practice.
All right. Can everyone see the slides? Or not yet?
Okay, it looks
good.
like we're seeing most of them right now.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. Scott Cutler, senior planner with the City of Wheat Ridge. This is case number WZ2104, which is a request for approval of a zone change from planned commercial development to planned mixed-use development with an outline development plan located on the west side of Clear Creek Drive, north of 40th Avenue in the Clear Creek Crossing development. I would like to enter into the public record the contents of the case file, the zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, and this presentation. The properties within the City of Wheat Ridge and all appropriate notification and posting requirements have been met. Therefore, City Council has jurisdiction to hear this case. This is a 2020 aerial view of the property, which is outlined in red in the middle of the screen. The site is located beyond the current northern terminus of Clear Creek Drive on the west side, north of 40th Avenue. And then there are ponds owned by Coors Brewing Company, which are located to the west and south. The site sits on the Wheat Ridge city limit line with unincorporated Jefferson County to the west. The property is currently zoned planned commercial development, which was approved in 2011 as part of the original Clear Creek Crossing rezoning. And this PCD zoning is shown in gray. The light blue area to the east is zoned planned mixed-use development, or PMUD. And the zoning was approved in 2018 as part of the current development of Clear Creek Crossing and included an outline development plan and design pattern book, which broke the site up into multiple planning areas with different standards and allowed uses. The subject property tonight was not included in that rezoning. So the purpose of the request is to rezone the property to planned mixed-use development. This corresponds to the PMUD zoning that covers the adjacent Clear Creek Crossing site. The subject property is identified as Planning Area 9, which will complement the existing 8 planning areas in the adjacent PMUD. Planning Area 9 is proposed as an extension of what was called the Homestead District, with its own distinct ODP and design pattern book. These documents make reference to and are modeled after the 2018 documents for Clear Creek Crossing, but they are standalone and no modifications are proposed to the documents governing the balance of the Clear Creek Crossing site. If the zone change is approved, the applicant is proposing to build multifamily rental apartments on the site, which would be phase 2 of the existing Outlook apartment site across Clear Creek Drive to the east. And this slide shows a map from the proposed design pattern book that shows the PA9 site in context with the rest of the Clear Creek Crossing development. North is to the left on this map. And the applicant is proposing to call the site PA9 and include it in the Homestead District for the purposes of design standards. This table shows the proposed development standards for the site, which are similar to those for the existing Outlook apartments in Planning Area 2 across the street. There are a couple of differences. Notably, the only proposed permitted uses for PA9 would be residential, with very limited public and civic uses, including open space. Commercial uses are not anticipated, nor will they be permitted in this planning area. Also, the proposed building maximum height of 50 feet is shorter than in PA2, which allows 65-foot residential buildings and up to 90 feet for commercial buildings. There's also a proposed cap on the total number of dwelling units permitted on the site at 250. Although this area is actually exempted from height and density restrictions in the city charter, the maximum of 250 units will allow reasonable development without overly impacting roads and infrastructure and affecting overall traffic numbers for the development. The proposed standards will follow the standards outlined in the original design pattern book for Clay Creek Crossing, which mandates a modern agrarian architectural theme for all developments. These standards include material, landscaping, lighting, and site furnishing requirements. The standards will allow the architecture of the new development to complement the existing Outlook apartment development to the east. This slide shows the proposed access into Planning Area 9 and connections to other sites. 2 vehicle access points are proposed into the site, one from Clear Creek Drive from the northern boundary of PA2, and another one between the site and Planning Area 7. These points align with regional circulation goals established in the overall design pattern book for Clear Creek Crossing. And the rezoning also plans for a future trailhead area at the terminus of Clear Creek Drive, which will be extended from its current location further north to provide access into the development. The trailhead area will include an on-site trailhead structure and open space, and connections will be made to the trail that ultimately meets up with the Clear Creek Greenbelt Trail further north. Essentially, the current conditions will shift north and a trailhead structure will be added as required by these rezoning documents. As a requirement of the zone change process, a neighborhood meeting was held on June 30th, 2021, virtually, and no one attended, but there was a summary provided in the staff report. We also sent the application on referral to outside agencies, including all utility agencies for the property, and then completed an internal review. We did not receive any concerns or objections from those agencies, and any future development on the site will be referred to those agencies for more specific comments about service setups and required easements. The Planning Commission reviewed this request and recommended approval at a public hearing on October 21st, 2021. And we also posted the property for 15 days and letters were sent to folks within a 600-foot radius. We did not receive any public comment for this application. We are required to review these types of rezoning applications with criteria in the city code. And one of those criteria is compliance with the city's comprehensive plan. Plan has 2 designations for this area: regional commercial center and mixed use commercial. In this instance, the 2009 comprehensive plan designations were very specifically influenced by the former Cabela's development plans, which called for Cabela's as an anchor tenant. Obviously that didn't happen, and Planning Area 9 is considered in combination with the larger Clear Creek Crossing development. The project as a whole upholds the long-range goals of the city to create mixed-use development in this area. And the mixed-use commercial designation specifically focuses on long-term infill, redevelopment, and reinvestment with a mix of uses. For all of those reasons, staff is recommending approval of the request, and that concludes my presentation. And I believe Christine McWright with Evergreen has a presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tyler Carlson. I am not Christine McWright. I thought I was coming here for a good time. But Christine is feeling faint. So rather than risk having to call the EMTs in, if she were to pass out, I will be stepping up to the plate in her absence. So thank you, staff, for working with me. And Christine, I hope you feel better. So this is a property that honestly should have been included in the original 2018 approvals. But at the time, the current owners, Coors Brewing Company, was not interested in participating in the updated ODP or in selling it to anyone who would want to participate in that ODP. So for the past several years, we've been patiently inquiring with them about when they would want to engage and when maybe we could acquire that property. And fortunately, earlier this year, we were able to put this the triangle parcel, as we call it, under contract, and we'll hopefully, if the events tonight transpire as we hope, close in the next week for an additional phase on the original Clear Creek Crossing project. So this request tonight is a rezoning from the original commercial designations into the residential mixed-use designation that's in keeping with the rest of the Clear Creek ODP. The technical proposal is to commercial mixed use, I believe, is the designation. And the SDP for the project that details all the building designs and site plans are also before staff and are in process as we currently sit tonight. This is the property in question, which has already been discussed and shown in context with the current construction out there, which you can see the hospital going up vertically, which is very exciting. And the standards for this Planning Area 9 are going to be a mirror image of the standards that apply to the current Outlook Clear Creek residential across the street. Same architectural standards, the same aesthetic look, but with a lower density. And that was really important for both us and staff so that we were providing a more diverse housing type for the city. As you may know, if you've toured Outlook Clear Creek, it's a number of 4-story elevator-served buildings. And these structures will be 2- and 3-story product, no elevators, walk-up style. And the real interesting thing from an architectural and livability standpoint is that the end units, which are 2 stories, actually function like townhouses. So, which is very unusual in a rental product where you're typically having stacked flat type of design. So we're very excited about that, and the fact that it's bordered on 2 sides by Coors water storage facilities is going to make it really a tremendous place to live for the future residents. So the Homestead District will be expanded to include this area, same allowable and non-allowable uses as across the street in the current multifamily parcel. And again, the cap is 250 units and 50 feet of height. One of the exciting pieces of this project is it will allow us to further extend Clear Creek Drive closer to the actual Clear Creek and complete our trailhead improvements that will integrate with the regional trail system along Clear Creek. We put those on hold while we were making this expansion of the project, and those improvements will be completed in the next year or so with this project in 2022. This is a conceptual site plan that's part of the SDP package. It's in front of staff right now. As you can see, it's a series of buildings that front along the Coors ponds with internalized parking, and then a clubhouse facility that is out along Clear Creek Drive. So one important distinction is that this will have independent amenities from the existing project across the street, so they won't have to walk across the street to go to the pool or to work out or get their mail. It will be a standalone community that that will obviously be look very similar and be as equally attractive, but have its own amenity set. And we're also excited about this because one of the challenges from a retail standpoint is that the COVID had a enormous impact upon especially the restaurant tenancy that we've been targeting for the village and some of the other components of the project, and getting additional rooftops and residents close by that can literally walk across the street is a huge benefit. As our leasing team has been out talking to some of the restaurant concepts, this is the most exciting thing they've heard in the last couple of months about our project, is this additional residential density coming along right across the way. And it's actually spurred a conversation with one restaurant group who is interested in partnering with us and bringing 4 different concepts in one shot, which would be very, very exciting. Again, this is another copy of the draft plan that shows the landscaping that will be installed along the perimeter and within the open space areas. And then here are some renderings of the product itself. So on the bottom, there are some carriage units similar to the carriage unit buildings that exist in the existing Clear Creek project, Outlook project across the street, where there's garages on the main level and there's residential units above. And those have been very popular in leasing, again, because you have no neighbors above, below you, just to the side of you, like a townhouse. And then at the top of the rendering, you can see these buildings with 2 stories at the ends and then the 3 stories in the middle. And again, those 2-story ends function like townhouses. There's 1 unit below, 1 unit above, and great glass, window exposures on 3 sides of the building. It's really beautiful units. Here's the rendering of the clubhouse amenity, again, playing off of the modern agrarian farmhouse typology that we've been working on working on with staff, and we're really pleased with how this design's evolved. And then I think this is it. This is, the summary slide that shows the area. So we are here for questions, and I've got our design team here as well. And thank you for your time. And I apologize you had to deal with the substitute runner-up, not Christine, because she's a lot more fun to talk to. Thank you.
You were most adequate. Thank you. We will go, before we have questions of council, open this up to questions or comments from the public. This is item number 2. I don't have anyone signed up to speak. If you are here and would like to speak, there's an opportunity now, and I'll ask if there's anyone online who would like to raise their hand and speak, and I'm getting no on both, so we will close our public's right to speak, and I'll open it up to council for questions. Councilor Nosler-Beck.
Sure. It's a great question. So those are water storage reservoirs that are owned by Coors Brewery. So if you crack open a Coors Light tonight, there is a good chance that you are partially drinking water that may have originated from one of those lakes. So because they're part of their brewery water system, there's actually some pretty significant fencing that's around them. I don't think they have snipers, but they definitely have some pretty tall fences. And so they have staff that go out there and patrol those ponds on, I believe, a daily basis, or at least a couple times a week, to make sure that nothing is getting into those facilities, because they enter directly into the brewery water treatment system. Because of that level of security, we believe they're safe. So they're beautiful to look at, but there'll be no public access. If someone wanted to go fishing, they could not do that, and they'd be run off very quickly because of the Coors security team that watches things out there. The engineers have looked at the condition of the soils to make sure that there's no water seepage or things like that would impact the foundations of the structures, and they have not. There's no concerns with that. So the actual stormwater for that will actually flow to the ponds that are north of the existing apartment complex, where you actually can fish. Our construction guys have caught a lot of fish out of there, ironically. It's a little hidden treasure trove for those recreational fishermen in the city. But that's where the actual detention stormwater flows. It does not go to those Coors ponds, which are kind of sacrosanct, and they are filled intentionally from the aquifers that come from the Clear Creek River. Sure.
Thank you. Additional, Ms. Weaver.
I'm not sure if this is for you, Scott, or, but we've been talking about the trailhead public art, and I was just curious, is this the conversation of the trailhead being moved farther down? Was it because of this parcel, or does this change anything about the art that's been decided upon? And I don't know who to ask this question to.
I can't answer to the art, but I can answer to, this rezoning process is the reason for the relocation of the trailhead location. Okay. But I don't have an update on the art.
Yeah, Ms. Weaver, I think it'll be fine. Essentially, everything just gets shifted to the north as a matter of transportation necessity in terms of the appropriate amount of access for this parcel. Okay. But otherwise, it'll be a very similar approach.
Still plenty of room and all of those things.
Yeah, just in a slightly different area.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman, may I add one thing? One of the blessings of the bond issuance I referenced a couple weeks ago is that the Metropolitan District actually was able to receive more proceeds than it had originally anticipated, which will put the district in a position to play a greater role in financing some of the trailhead features and things like that. So bottom line is the checkbook got a little bit fuller, which will be great, because as we build out some of the final amenities and look at some of the open spaces and things like that we're doing with future tenancy, we won't be so financially constrained, which is a blessing. So we actually, I look forward to working with staff on finalizing some of that design and looking at what additional improvements we can use, because all the money, per our original agreements, is all earmarked for public improvements south of the Clear Creek River.
Additional questions? Councilor Hulteen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple questions. What is the total acreage of the site with this acquisition?
It's 13 acres, approximately.
Yep. Is that, and that's for the whole Clear Creek Crossing development?
No, that's
Yeah.
just for the development
Yeah, okay.
site
I
that's
was
being
gonna say, I thought
rezoned.
yeah. So what is the entire Clear Creek Crossing development site with this acquisition?
Close to 100-ish.
Yeah, it's around 108 acres. Most of it is south of the Clear Creek, but there's a parcel of land north of the river that's right at the intersection of 58 and 70. That's a large wooded area that's technically part of the project and is currently owned by Evergreen.
Okay. And then with the trailhead, what is the timeline for that? And it looked like in the presentation, it was showing a proposed future connection to the Clear Creek, and I'm just wondering sort of what the sequencing and timeline is of completing the trailhead and then the proposed connection to the trail.
So the first thing we need to do, which will be completed this next calendar year, will be the extension of Clear Creek Drive, extending it further north to its ultimate termination by the river. And then once the roadway is in, then we'll be able to build the sidewalk connections down to the regional trail corridor and install the trailhead. So that will all be completed in 2022.
Okay, great. I just would like to strongly recommend that trail connection be a wide multi-use trail, because I anticipate there's going to be a lot of bicycle cut-through traffic that are coming up 32nd Avenue and cutting through there to access the Clear Creek into Golden, because it's going to be the best way to ride a bike through there. So planning that trail connection for sufficient trail usage, it's going to be a pretty heavily, I think, used connection to the trail. So I hope we
Absolutely.
make it nice and wide. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions for staff? Councilor Dozeman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What does our timeline look like? And is this additional project going to add time to that, or is it going to be going up relatively quickly?
For the multifamily project in question, if we are approved tonight, the goal is to get permits in place to start construction in March of next year. So these projects take about a year to kind of get the first, the clubhouse and the first buildings up. So the goal is to start leasing the first buildings in around the Super Bowl of 2023. And then there'll be basically a year following of buildings coming online, buildings leasing, through the balance of 2023, which will be good timing, especially with the hospital anticipated to be coming online in 2024. Getting proximate housing to the SCL facility has been top of mind for Grant Wickland, because attracting and retaining staff is a really important thing for the hospital. We've actually had some conversations with them about the hospital itself leasing units for traveling nurses to make sure that they've got people who can literally walk across the street. And so it's been actually a really fun partnership with SCL to collaborate on some of those issues so that they can make sure that they've got the tools that they need to attract and retain their workforce.
Thank you. Additional discussion or questions before I close the public hearing? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and Councilor Stites, a motion is in order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Council Bill number 21-2021, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at approximately 4051 Clear Creek Drive from Planned Commercial Development, PCD, to Planned Mixed-Use Development, PMUD, on second reading, and then to take effect 15 days after final publication for the following reasons. 1, the Planning Commission has recommended approval of the rezoning after conducting a proper public hearing. 2, the proposed rezoning has been reviewed by the Community Development Department, which has forwarded its recommendation for approval. 3, the proposed rezoning has been found to comply with the criteria for review in section 26-303.d of the Code of Laws.
there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you very much. We will now move to agenda item number 3. Councilor Hutchinson, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Council Bill number 22-2021, an ordinance approving the disposition of parkland at Stites Park and in connection therewith authorizing an exchange of land to correct the property boundary. At issue, Stites Park is located at the northwest corner of West 29th Avenue and Newland Street. At the north side of the park, the playground and basketball court were constructed by the city over a 15-foot sliver of private property. At the west side of the park, the fence constructed in partnership by the city and adjacent property owner is located several feet off the property line and into the city-owned park. Approval of this ordinance will facilitate a land exchange between the city and the adjacent property owner to connect these discrepancies. Because this exchange involves parkland, unanimous approval by the entire council is required for the ordinance.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on second reading. It is a public hearing. It is not quasi-judicial. I'm going to open the public hearing. And Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation on this one?
We do. Our planning manager, Lauren Mikulak, is here this evening.
Okay, Ms. Mikulak, continue.
Thank you. Good evening. My comments will be brief tonight, but I did want to share just a short series of images that helps to illustrate that introduction that Councilor Hutchinson provided. So in this first image, you're seeing the northwest corner of 29th and Newland, and it shows what are the current property lines of both the park and the adjacent private property at 6675, which includes that larger parcel to the west of the park, as well as that narrow sliver to the north. And you can see from this image the portion of the basketball court and some of the playground that encroaches into that private property. It's not clear from our records why that happened, but it is what it is. And on the shared property line between the park and the private property, this image is now showing a fence. That fence was replaced jointly by the city and the property owner in 2018. And this current fence, as well as the prior chain link fence, were both located slightly into the park to preserve those mature trees that you can see in the image that really straddle the property line. So we had to pick kind of one side or the other, and that fence lands a little bit inside the park. We talked about these property line discrepancies at a study session in June 2020, and the private property owner has been considering development under the existing R2 zoning. As a part of that potential subdivision plat, which has now moved forward, we do have the opportunity to clean up these property line discrepancies. So with council's approval tonight, what would happen is that the east-west portion shaded here in green above the park would be transferred from private ownership to the city, and that orange sliver between the park and 6675 would be transferred to the private property owner because it's on that side of the fence. The slivers are not the same size, as you can tell, so the net increase to the park would be about 2,000 square feet. To transfer those two portions, because the orange one is associated with the park, we do need to follow those charter provisions, which requires council's unanimous approval to dispose of a piece of parkland. If approval is provided tonight, we'll proceed with the subdivision plat and the transfer of deeds. The plat, I should mention, could proceed without this process, without this exchange, but it is the sort of appropriate time to clean up the property lines if we were to ever do it, and because it does really benefit both parties in the end. That's all I have. The property owner is not the applicant in this case. It's a little bit different from what you usually see from our division, but he is here in case you have any questions as well.
Thank you. Before we go to any questions from council, I'd like to open it up for comments from the public. I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this item number 3, but if you have not signed up and are here and would like to speak, you may do so at this time. And I will ask if we have anyone online who has indicated an interest in speaking, and I see that there is not. So we will close our public's right to speak portion of this item and go to any questions from council. Ms. Hoppy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Considering that the pieces of property are pretty significantly different in size, is there any other compensation that we'll be offering that property owner for that large piece of land that we'll be bringing into the park?
That's a good question. So there's not planned to be any exchange of money to compensate for that difference in size. What would happen is, assuming the subdivision proceeds, it will create additional residential lots. And with each creation of new residential lot in Wheat Ridge, we have a parkland dedication requirement. We almost always see that fulfilled by a fee in lieu of dedication, but this land, the 2,000 square feet net, would be meeting that parkland dedication requirement. So there is sort of an exchange there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions for staff before I close the public hearing? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and Ms. Hutchinson, a motion is in order.
I move to approve Council Bill number 22-2021, an ordinance approving the disposition of parkland at Stites Park and in connection therewith authorizing an exchange of land to correct the property boundary on second reading and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Hoppy. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you very much. That brings us to agenda item number 4. Councilor Hulteen, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Council Bill number 23-2021, an ordinance approving the transfer of 4100 Gray Street through general warranty deed to the County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, in order to place a reverter on the property and return ownership to the City of Wheat Ridge through a commissioner's deed at issue. Following council approval, the City of Wheat Ridge recently purchased a home at 4100 Gray Street for $525,000 with the intent to expand the adjacent Randall Park. Staff worked with Jefferson County Open Space to seek a land conservation partnership grant in the amount of $150,000 to assist in the purchase. As a requirement for open space funding, the property must be made subject to a reverter clause. The formal process requires the City of Wheat Ridge to transfer the property to Jefferson County through a general warranty deed. Once received, Jefferson County will return ownership to the City of Wheat Ridge through a commissioner's deed, imposing the reverter clause requiring that the property be used for public open space, park, or recreational purposes in perpetuity. Pursuant to the Wheat Ridge City Charter, Section 16.5, the unanimous approval of the entire City Council by ordinance is necessary to sell or dispose of designated parkland. While the transfer to Jefferson County is not a final disposal, the charter requirement must be followed.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on second reading. It is a public hearing. It is not quasi-judicial. I'm going to open the public hearing. And Mr. Goff, do we have a further staff presentation on this item?
No presentation, but just a few comments from Karen O'Donnell, our Parks and Rec Director.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I just wanted to clarify that really this is just simply the formal process required for us to accept the $150,000 from Jefferson County Open Space through their Land Conservation Partnership Grant. And as a reminder, the 4100 Gray Street property is on the corner of 41st and Gray. It's the southwest corner of Randall Park. We closed on that property in October of this year, and our initial intent as staff kind of reviewed the space was the idea of putting a community garden in that space for equity throughout the community and to really kind of foster the idea of sustainable agriculture in our community. However, we do intend to go to the public to see if that's something that neighborhood would be interested in for that property. But with that, if you have any questions, I'm available.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go to questions from council, I would like to open this up to the public to to speak on this agenda item number 4. I don't have anyone signed up to speak, but if you're here and would like to speak, or if you're online, we will gladly have you come to the podium and speak to us online. And no one has stepped forward, so we'll close our public's participation on this item and go to any questions from council. Before I close the public hearing, no questions, then I'm going to close the public hearing. And Councilor Hulteen, a motion is in order.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Council Bill number 23-2021, an ordinance approving the transfer of 4100 Gray Street through general warranty deed to the County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, in order to place a reverter on the property and return ownership to the City of Wheat Ridge through a commissioner's deed. Order it published and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Stites. Is there discussion on the motion? Councilor Hulteen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to express my gratitude to the city for moving forward with this. I think it's really critical that we acquired that last piece of that block. And I know, having walked that neighborhood a couple of times, that park is really just the way it's embedded in the neighborhood, and a lot of homes literally open to the park. Just having that sort of holistically be in the city's control, I am excited that the recommendation coming forward from the Parks and Commission board is that the Parks and Rec Commission is that they consider a community garden. As you guys know, we've been working on Regenerate Wheat Ridge, and the role of regenerative agriculture is fundamental to our city's history and our current identity, and the opportunity to provide access for a diversity of community members to participate in that, I think is really just part of who we are as a city. So thank you for leadership on that, and looking forward to seeing what happens next with it.
Thank you. Councilor Hutchinson?
Thank you, Mayor. I know that the city's been interested in this property for years. I was on Parks and Rec Commission years back, and that was always the talk. And I think it's a great thing, and I'm so glad that it's finally come due. Thank you very much.
Additional discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. That will bring us to agenda item number 5. Councilor Nosler-Beck, would you please introduce this item? Thank you very much. This is an ordinance on first reading to set the date, time, and location for a public hearing. May I please have a motion on this item, Councilor Nosler-Beck?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Dozman. Do we have discussion on, we don't take discussion? Will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item number 6. Councilor Dozman, would you please introduce this item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 58, 2021, a resolution approving the amended and restated intergovernmental agreement concerning animal sheltering, dog licensing, and funding of the Foothills Animal Shelter. At issue, the Foothills Animal Shelter Board of Directors has recognized a need to update the intergovernmental agreement between Jefferson County and the cities therein to revise the funding model and assessment calculation, update compliance requirements, remove outdated language, and update the timing of budget recommendations.
Thank you. This is a resolution of the council. Mr. Goff, do we have any further presentation from staff?
No presentation, just maybe a quick few comments. This is really just a cleanup of an IGA that we've had for quite some time with Foothills Animal Shelter. The financial impact to the city is not going to change. It's just changing the formula on how that annual assessment is calculated. Currently, right now, the city contributes about $56,000 a year for operational expenses, and another $25,000 for the debt service on the new Foothills Animal Shelter building that was built at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds, and the debt service should be paid off 2029, I believe. So a couple more years that should be done. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Before I go to questions from council, I will open this up for the public to opine on this agenda item number 6. I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this item, but if you would like to speak on this, you may do so now, and I'll ask if anyone online would like to speak, and I see that there is no one stepping forward or online, so we will close our public's comment and go to questions from council. Seeing no questions, Councilor Dozeman, may I have a motion on this item?
I move to approve resolution number 58, 2021, a resolution approving the amended and restated intergovernmental agreement concerning animal sheltering, dog licensing, and funding of the Foothills Animal Shelter.
Second.
Well, we have a second by Mr. Stites. He's very good on these things. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you very much. We will go to agenda item number 7. Councilor Weaver, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is resolution number 59, 2021, a resolution approving an agreement with the Mile High Flood District and the City of Lakewood regarding funding of major drainage way planning and flood hazard area delineation for Lena Gulch and Tributary H. Would you like me to read the issue?
If you would, please.
The floodplain maps and master plan for Lena Gulch need to be updated to incorporate new regulatory flows that are currently being finalized by the Mile High Flood District. An intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, with MHFD and the City of Lakewood needs to be executed to allow MHFD to complete the updates.
Thank you. This will be a resolution of the council. Mr. Goff, do we have any further staff presentation on this item?
We don't. I'm sorry. I think the issue statement is pretty clear,
Okay.
but Mark Westberg is, well, looks like we lost. Did we lose? Mark Westberg is available on Zoom if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. As is our the way we do things, we will ask the public if they'd like to speak on this item number 6. I have no one signed up. But once again, if you hadn't signed up but would like to speak, you may do so now, and if you're on Zoom and would like to, you may also. But I see no one doing that, so we'll close our public's comment and go to any questions from council. Seeing no questions, we will seek a motion on this from Councilor Weaver.
Okay. I move to approve resolution number 59-2021, a resolution approving an agreement with the Mile High Flood District and the City of Lakewood regarding funding a major drainage way planning and flood hazard area delineation for Lena Gulch and Tributary H.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Stites. Is there discussion on the motion? Ms. Weaver.
I just want to show appreciation for acknowledging Lena Gulch as a pre-major floodway in the city of Wheat Ridge. And for those of you who don't have it in your backyards, it's very appreciated that we're dealing with it as a floodway. So thank you.
How's the fishing?
Exactly.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. That concludes our regular agenda items on our meeting agenda. And so I will go to City Manager's Matters. Mr. Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank all the council for recognizing all of our groups this evening. Our Wheat Ridge 101 planning. There's got still some folks back here. Our Wheat Ridge 101 group, and unfortunately, Mary Ann Schilling is not feeling well this evening. So if you saw her, she was on screen though. She really does a tremendous job with those groups, and so thank her for that. And just happy to recognize and welcome 6 new police officers with the city, and we're very fortunate to get so many good recruits. If you talk to some cities, they're struggling right now, and I think that just goes to show that Wheat Ridge is a special place, and we have the right environment, great culture, and we're attracting some great people. It's great to see the fresh, energetic faces. Hopefully they stay that way for quite some time. And again, thank Tyler Carlson also for coming in, and I really do want to thank council and the previous mayors and councils. It's been a long project, but a very successful one, I believe. It's a great example of a triple P project and what you can do by working with the private sector. And Merry Christmas, everybody. We're off the next couple of weeks, so our next meeting's not till January 3rd. So everybody have a great holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney's Matters, Mr. Dahl.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Elected Officials Matters and start with Councilor Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to congratulate the Wheat Ridge 101 graduates, and also I was glad to meet the new police recruits. They seem very energetic, and that's great. We need that. Also, I want to state that this has been kind of a devastating kind of a week to where there's been some disasters in this country. And my thoughts and prayers go to the people and the families that are going through this in, I think, 6 different states. So it's just sad, very sad. And maybe this is the new climate change. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Nosler-Beck. Thank you, Councilor Nosler-Beck, and thank you for being a great mother. Councilor Ohm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to give a quick thank you to the staff at Riley Berto's on Wadsworth Boulevard. I'd also like to thank Chad Phillips at ACOM, Kate Benning at the MERS Resource Group, and city staff for taking the time this week to meet with Councilmember Hulteen and I to discuss potential neighborhood traffic issues from the Wadsworth Widening Project. If there aren't any issues, I encourage the community to go to What's Up Wheat Ridge, click on Improve Wadsworth, and contact Kate either by phone or by email listed on the website. I'd also like to remind the community that in District 2, there's still a seat opening on the Planning Commission, and remind everybody to please continue to keep our community safe and civil by watching out for one another these holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dozeman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. I also want to thank staff in this time, because I think some of the comments that we've heard today, not only from Tyler Carlson, but some of the comments that I've heard from our recently retired police officers, we truly do have a wonderful staff, and we have a wonderful community that not only supports our police officers, but looks out for each other. And so I wanted to thank you, and I think that you deserve a lot of kudos, and I'm really happy to see the direction that our city is going in because of all of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dozeman. Councilor Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and my sentiments likewise for happy holidays. I was reminded of something driving over here tonight and how early it is getting dark. And we were just talking last week about how 38th on the west side is extremely dangerous, and it was very nerve-wracking to see a couple pedestrians just, you know, because it's winter, all in dark clothing. And so just a reminder to put kids in lighter clothes and that it's just getting dark, and to really be aware of pedestrians and bikes that are on the road. And it's dark at 4:30. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Stites.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Goff mentioned creating a culture when bringing in our new recruits for our police department, and getting a chance to meet some of our new recruits tonight. You can tell our culture from the top down is very strong, and so kudos to the staff, kudos to our police leadership, and to Mr. Goff, and I think you guys are doing a great job. You know, speaking of culture, growing up in Wheat Ridge, I got a chance to sit in this room a lot when I was a kid and listen to public comment for various things throughout the years. And something that's always been pretty great is the city and the citizens know what they're talking about. They pay attention, and they come in and they let us know what they believe. So I want to thank all of the participants in Wheat Ridge 101, including my mom, who got a chance to go through and see all the different departments. They got a better education than some of the council people do. I mean, when we get elected, and Ms. Hoppy gave us a really good crash course 2 years ago, but it was only about 6 hours. I think these guys got way more than that, and they got to fire tasers. So I'd like to sign up for that too. So thank you, Wheat Ridge 101. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. If you are looking for a Christmas gift for somebody, you can find it in Wheat Ridge. You should buy it in Wheat Ridge and support local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Hoppy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also wanted to say I hope everybody has a safe and warm holiday season. It'll be nice for us to have a couple of weeks off to be able to kind of focus up on our own families and spend some extra time with them. And I just am really excited and looking forward to our 6 new recruits hitting the streets. That was just super exciting to see how enthusiastic they were. And then I'm really proud of the Wheat Ridge 101 class. That was an extremely long commitment, and I really appreciate all of you for committing to it and sticking through it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem Hulteen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a lot of duplicates, but I still have to say them. I just, sitting up here tonight, just felt, I feel incredibly proud every day to be a member of this community. And between the Wheat Ridge 101 graduates and the recruits, I just realized that we're a community at heart. We're not a city, we're a community. And the quality of people who show up and take an interest and engage in what makes Wheat Ridge great is just constantly at the forefront, but tonight really was shining brightly, and just incredibly impressed with both cohorts, that we have a diversity and, you know, people who've committed to Wheat Ridge because of who Wheat Ridge is, and I just am excited every day for the next day because it just gets better. So thank you to everyone who is part of that. Along with Councilor Ohm, we did have a great conversation with the Wadsworth team and city staff to understand a little bit more about the communication strategy. And I just, we talked a lot about things that can be done both proactively and in response to concerns about the impacts of that project as it rolls out over the next few years. But whatever comes up that's ahead of us, I couldn't be more impressed with the foresight and the planning that our staff and our consultants have in terms of communication and response. They literally had a plan for everything. There were no gotcha moments with them. Like, they were like, oh yeah, we have a plan for that. So that it's going to be a long couple years, but we're going to get through it, and they're doing a fantastic job of anticipating and responding to what comes up during that time. Like others, I've been doing my holiday shopping in Wheat Ridge, trying to spend my dollars locally. I will say District 2 has some pretty awesome places to spend your money. I've spent quite a few dollars in District 2. So forget ordering online. It's too late. We don't need any more Amazon trucks down our street. Walk down the street and spend some local dollars. And my only original idea tonight, because I'm going last, is it has been extraordinarily dry, and please water your trees. It was a little weird to hook my hose back up again a month ago, but our trees, we love our trees in the city, and our trees need our love right now. So please be thoughtful and diligent about watering our big leafy babies, because this is a stressful season for them. So with that, I wish everybody a happy holiday. Be safe, be wonderful, and I will look forward to being up here with peers that I really admire and respect in 2022.
Thank you very much. I want to add my congratulations to the Wheat Ridge 101 class. Great to have a large class like that, learning about how our city works, and I look forward to your continued involvement in our community and in our city. I want to thank Tyler Carlson and the folks at Evergreen Development for bringing us a check for almost $10 million, and really continuing on their project, because it has been a long road, but it's going to be well worth the travel to have gone down there. Really buoyed by the police recruits that we have tonight. Look, great group of people that are coming into our community to help us stay safe, and I wish them the very best, and always be safe in their endeavors in our city. I want to thank the folks who came to my coffee with the mayors last Saturday. We had some great discussion on affordable housing, attainable housing, and homelessness, and the efforts that the city and the county are moving to try to alleviate some of those issues that are in our community. Let's see, going down the list, school is out. Going to be out soon. Going to have more kids out on the streets and sidewalks. Please be careful. Drive slowly out there. As Councilor Weaver said, that it's darker earlier, and kids will be out looking at the Christmas lights. So please be careful out there. As you're thinking about safety in our community and helping others out, I hope you'll grab a shovel. When and if we ever get some snow, we'll need to shovel that out, and I hope you'll be diligent about doing not only your own walk, but helping your neighbors out, because they would really appreciate that. So without much going on, or without a meeting, the next couple of meetings are canceled. We will see everyone in the new year. Wish you the very best for the holiday season. There being no more business to come before council, we will stand adjourned.